Oops. Looks like you're finally useful for something. My cousin Cody laughed as he deliberately poured his red wine down the front of my server's uniform. My Aunt Angela watched from the corner and smirked. They thought I was just the hired help there to clean up their mess. They had no idea I was the secret CEO who signed Cody's employment contract exactly 6 days ago. I didn't cry. I didn't run away. I just decided to enforce the clause in his contract that would cost him absolutely everything. Before I tell you exactly how much that glass of wine cost him, and trust me, the number will shock you, drop a comment and let me know where you're listening from and what time it is for you right now. I want to see who's ready for some justice. I walked to the guest bathroom, feeling the wine seep through the fabric of my shirt, sticking cold against my skin. I didn't run. I didn't slam the door. I closed it softly and turned the lock with a click that sounded like a gunshot in the quiet room. I looked at myself in the mirror. My name is Jade, I'm 29 years old, and in my real life I manage high-value logistics for clients who ship diamonds, art and aerospace components. I spend my days identifying risks and neutralizing them before they become losses. But to the people outside that door I was just Jade the failure, Jade the servant, Jade the cushion they stepped on to reach the top shelf. I pulled my phone from my pocket. My hands weren't shaking. 3 days ago when we arrived at this villa, Aunt Angela had thrown the Wi-Fi instructions at me. You set this up, Jade. I don't have time for passwords and technical nonsense. She didn't realize that setting up the smart home system meant registering the administrative account. She thought she was delegating a chore. She was actually handing me the weapon that would end her. I opened the Nest security app. I didn't need to hack anything, I just logged in. I scrolled back 5 minutes. There was high-definition video and crisp audio. Cody laughing. The deliberate tilt of the glass. The wine hitting me. The slurs. Finally useful for something. I hit download. I saved the file to my personal cloud, then sent a copy to my lawyer's encrypted server. Evidence secured. Next, I opened my company's HR portal. I have two-factor authentication, retinal scan, the works. I bypassed the dashboard and went straight to the personnel files. Search, Cody V. Status, active, probationary. I scrolled to the compensation package. There it was, glowing on the screen like a beacon. Signing bonus, $20,000. But it wasn't a gift. My lawyers had drafted this contract specifically for high-risk hires. The language was precise. The bonus was structured as a forgivable loan. It would only be forgiven after 12 months of continuous service. If the employee was terminated for cause, which includes gross misconduct, harassment, or reputational damage, the loan became immediately due in full. I hovered my thumb over the terminate button. I could do it now. I could march out there phone in hand and end this charade. I could scream at them, tell them who I was, and watch their faces crumble. It would feel good. It would feel amazing. But I stopped. People think revenge is about anger. It isn't. Anger is cheap. Anger is reactive. If I went out there screaming, I would just be the crazy cousin who ruined the party. They would spin it. They would say it was an accident, that I was overreacting. They would gaslight me until I doubted my own memory. More importantly, if I fired Cody right now, he might still have the money. He might be able to write a check and make this go away. No, that wasn't enough. I needed him to spend it. I needed him to drain that account to zero. I needed him to buy the champagne, pay for the car I saw parked outside, and burn through every single cent of that $20,000. I needed him to be destitute when the bill came due. My silence wasn't weakness. It was an investment strategy. Every minute I stayed in this uniform, every insult I swallowed, every glass I refilled was compounding the interest on his debt. I wasn't just taking his job. I was taking his future. I grabbed a towel and dabbed at the wine stain. It wouldn't come out, but that was fine. It was a battle scar. I fixed my hair, took a deep breath, and practiced my smile in the mirror. It didn't reach my eyes, but it didn't need to. It just needed to look submissive enough to buy me a few more hours. I unlocked the door and walked back into the lion's den. Service wasn't over yet. Jade, over here. We're dry. Aunt Angela snapped her fingers at me from across the patio. It wasn't a request. It was a command, the same one she used when she summoned a waiter or called a dog. I walked over, the bottle of champagne wrapped in a white napkin, and refilled her glass. She didn't look at me. She didn't say thank you. She just continued her conversation with a wealthy neighbor she was trying to impress. Oh, we're just so proud of Cody, she gushed, her diamond bracelet catching the afternoon sun. $185,000 a year, plus bonuses. It's a starting package most people dream of. But then again, talent runs in the family. I poured the sparkling wine without spilling a drop. Talent runs in the family. That was rich. If she actually knew what talent looked like, she would know that the woman pouring her drink wasn't a struggling freelancer. She would know that my logistics firm, Aegis Transport, cleared $15 million in revenue last year. She would know that I started it in a freezing storage unit 5 years ago, eating instant noodles so I could afford insurance on my first delivery van. I built an empire on silence and precision, moving high-value assets for clients who demand invisibility. But to Angela, I was just the invisible bank. For years, I let them treat me like this. It started small. Jade, honey, I forgot my wallet, can you grab lunch? Then it became, Jade, your cousin needs a cosigner for his car. You know how hard it is to get started. Then it was, emergency loans for medical bills that turned out to be Caribbean cruises. I paid. I signed. I covered the spread. Not because I was weak, but because they had conditioned me to believe that money was the price of admission to this family. I thought if I fixed enough problems, eventually they would see me as a person, not a resource. Even this villa. Yesterday when we arrived, Angela had called me from the lobby in a panic. The bank flagged my card for fraud, Jade. It's a mistake, but they won't let us check in. You have to put it on your card until Monday. I knew her card wasn't flagged. It was maxed out. But I pulled out my heavy black corporate card, the one made of titanium that she didn't even glance at, and swiped it. I am the guarantor of the very roof over their heads right now. If I called the front desk and canceled the authorization, security would escort them out within 10 minutes. But the biggest joke was Cody. 2 weeks ago his resume landed on my desk. It was garbage. Typos, inflated titles, references that led to dead numbers. My HR director flagged it for the do not hire pile. I unflagged it. I looked at his application and saw a kid who had never been told no in his life. And for a moment, a stupid, sentimental moment, I thought maybe he just needed a chance. Maybe if I gave him a real job with real structure he would grow up. So I overrode the system. I approved the hiring. I signed the offer letter myself, burying my signature under the corporate seal. I gave him the rope. I just watched him use it to hang himself. Angela took a sip of the champagne I paid for, standing on the terrace I rented, celebrating the job I gave him. Make sure the other guests are topped off, Jade, she said, waving me away without making eye contact. And try to smile. You look miserable. Of course, Aunt Angela, I said. I walked away, the bottle heavy in my hand. They thought they were celebrating a victory lap. They didn't realize they were dancing on a trapdoor. And I was the one holding the lever. The sun began to dip below the horizon, painting the villa in shades of gold and violet, but the atmosphere on the terrace was anything but peaceful. It was loud, chaotic, and reeked of unearned confidence. By 6 o'clock Cody was drunk. Not the happy, sleepy kind of drunk, but the loud, aggressive kind that comes from deep-seated insecurity. He had climbed onto one of the teak tables, a half-empty bottle of champagne swinging from his hand, demanding the attention of the 50 guests gathered there. To me, he shouted, swaying slightly. To the big leagues. The crowd cheered. These were his friends from college, eager hangers-on who smelled money, and neighbors Angela had invited to show off. They raised their glasses to a boy who had never worked an honest day in his life. I stood in the shadows near the bar, stacking dirty plates. I caught Cody's eye. For a second the mask slipped. I saw him look at his friends, successful young professionals in tailored suits, and then look at me. Earlier I had seen one of his fraternity brothers ask for my number, clearly interested. Cody had intervened immediately, sending me away to fetch ice. He couldn't stand it. He couldn't stand that even in a server's uniform, I wasn't invisible enough. He needed to make me smaller so he could feel big. Hey, Jade. He bellowed into the microphone he'd commandeered from the DJ. The music cut out. Every head turned toward me. Let's hear it for my cousin Jade. Cody laughed, the sound distorted by the speakers. She might be the oldest one here, but hey, at least she's finally learning the value of hard work. Keep those glasses full, Jade. That's about all you're qualified for, right? Laughter rippled through the crowd. It wasn't genuine laughter. It was that awkward, obedient chuckle people give when a rich host makes a cruel joke. Aunt Angela didn't look embarrassed. She looked vindicated. She leaned into the woman next to her, loud enough for me to hear. It's sad, really. We try to help her, but some people just don't have the drive. We invited her today just so she could make a little rent money. Charity, basically. Charity. I looked down at the tray in my hands. My knuckles were white, but my face remained a mask of polite indifference. They wanted me to break. They wanted me to throw the tray, to scream, to give them a story about crazy Jade that they could dine out on for years. They wanted proof that I was beneath them. But I wasn't looking at Cody. I was looking at my watch. It was 6:01 in the evening on a Friday. In the world of high-value banking, 6 o'clock is the cutoff. Before 6, a wire transfer can be recalled. It can be flagged, stopped, or pending. But once the clock ticks past the hour, the ACH batch processes. The money moves. It becomes liquid. I felt a vibration in my pocket. A silent notification from my company's payroll system. Transaction complete. Disbursement ID, 99284. Amount, $20,000. The money was in his account. He had officially received the signing bonus. The transaction was irreversible. That meant the trap was no longer theoretical. It was steel and it was snapped shut around his leg. He had the money, which meant he was now liable for the money. And based on the way he was spraying champagne over the rented furniture, he was already spending it. I set the tray down on the bar with a deliberate, soft clink. Cody was still on the table, basking in the applause, thinking he was the king of the world. He didn't see the predator standing 20 feet away. He didn't know that the help had just authorized his financial execution. I smoothed my apron not because I cared about the uniform but because I was transitioning roles. The server was clocking out. The CO was clocking in. I walked over to the DJ booth, unplugged the auxiliary cord, and let the silence crash over the party like a wave. The silence was instant and heavy. The music cut out, leaving only the sound of 50 confused people and the distant hum of the pool filter. Cody stood on the table, microphone in hand, looking like a fish gasping for air. "Party's over," I said into the dead silence. My voice wasn't loud, but it carried. "Please clear the premises. The owners are closing the villa." It was a lie, of course. I was the owner, at least for the weekend. But it worked. The guests, sensing the sudden shift in atmospheric pressure, began to shuffle toward the exit. They were eager to leave before the drama spilled over onto their designer shoes. Aunt Angela stormed over to me, her heels clicking furiously on the stone patio. "What the hell do you think you're doing? You don't give orders here. You take them." I looked at her. I didn't flinch. I didn't apologize. "Meet me in the library in 10 minutes, I said. "Bring Cody. I have a closing gift for him." I turned and walked away before she could respond. I went straight to the master suite, the one I had paid for but hadn't stepped foot in. I locked the door and stripped off the wine-stained uniform. I threw it in the trash. It felt like shedding a skin. I washed the sticky residue of the Cabernet from my neck and chest. Then I opened my garment bag. I put on my charcoal-tailored suit, the one I wore to board meetings when I needed to intimidate suppliers who were trying to gouge me. I pulled my hair back into a severe, sleek bun. I applied a fresh coat of lipstick. No more server. No more doormat. I picked up my phone and sent a single text to the contact saved as A. Sterling, execute. I walked down the hall to the library. It was a beautiful room, dark wood and leather, smelling of old paper and money. I sat at the head of the heavy oak table and placed my iPad in the center. A moment later, the heavy double doors swung open. Angela marched in, dragging a stumbling, confused Cody behind her. "This had better be good, Jade," Angela hissed. "You ruined the vibe. You embarrassed us. And why are you wearing that?" She gestured at my suit, confusion finally cracking her anger. "Sit down," I said. "Excuse me." I said sit down. The command was absolute. Angela blinked, startled by the tone she had never heard from me before. She sat. Cody fell into the chair next to her, rubbing his face. "Jade, come on. I was just joking earlier. Don't be such a..." He stopped because the front door chime rang. I didn't move to answer it. The door opened and Arthur Sterling walked in. Arthur isn't a family lawyer. He doesn't do wills or traffic tickets. He is a corporate litigator who eats non-compete clauses for breakfast. He walked into the library carrying a leather briefcase, looking out of place and terrifyingly serious. "Who is this?" Angela demanded, standing up. "Who let you in?" "Mr. Sterling is my personal counsel," I said calmly. "And he is here to witness the termination of employment for Mr. Cody Vance." Cody laughed. It was a wet, nervous sound. "What? You can't fire me. I don't work for you. I work for Aegis Transport." "I am Aegis Transport," I said. The silence this time wasn't awkward. It was the sound of a worldview collapsing. "I founded Aegis 5 years ago," I said evenly. "I own 100%. I approved your hire, Cody. I signed your contract." "Liar," Angela hissed. "You're broke." I woke the iPad. Not a bank record. Security footage from 40 minutes earlier. Cody on the table. Wind down my chest. Slurs. Public humiliation. This qualifies as gross misconduct under your contract, I said. Harassment and reputational damage. Mr. Sterling slid a paper across the desk. Immediate termination for cause, he said. Effective now. The color drained from Cody's face. But the bonus. I spent it. I know. Sterling placed a second document down. The $20,000 signing bonus was a forgivable loan, I explained. Forgiven after 12 months. You served 0 days. The loan is in default. You have 24 hours to repay it, I said calmly. If not, we sue for breach, theft, and damages. With video evidence. I bought a BMW, Cody whispered. Sell it. Angela slammed the table. He's family. It was a party. No, I said. It was a character test. And he failed. We don't have that money, she screamed. Then you have a problem, I replied. The deadline is 5 p.m. tomorrow. Thought it was over. I was wrong. Angela went quiet. Come. She pulled out a folded document and placed it beside the termination notice. You're not firing him, she whispered. And you're not getting that money back. Or what? Or I stop paying this. She tapped the paper. It was a predatory $50,000 loan. I took it out for the party and Cody's debts, she smiled. But I needed a co-signer. She pointed to the forged signature. I forged it, she said flatly. If I default, they come after you. Your credit. Your company. Ruined. Her terms were simple. Keep Cody employed, forgive the bonus, pay the loan. I studied the document. Then looked at Sterling. He looked bored. That isn't leverage, I said. It's a confession. She scoffed and showed me her phone, logged in as me. Pending disbursement, she said. I verified it. How? I asked. The bank always sends a 2-factor code. I had your old phone, she said smugly. I entered it. Exhaled. Slow, precise. Angela, my credit file is federally frozen, I said. That wasn't a verification code. I slid my phone across the table. Critical alert. Fraud attempt detected. Location confirmed. Device tagged. That code identified you, I said quietly. And alerted authorities. Her hands shook. The paper fell. Sterling closed his file. You've just admitted to forgery, identity theft, and wire fraud. Blue lights pulsed through the windows. Angela didn't fight. She collapsed. You called them, she whispered. No, I said. You did. The officers escorted her out with practiced calm. Cody sat frozen, staring at the termination notice. 23. Fired. 20,000 in debt. What do I do? He choked. You figure it out, I said. Like I had to. I deleted their numbers. Drove home in silence. This silence wasn't lonely. It was peace. Back at my desk, I opened the HR portal and made it official. Status. Terminated. I shut the laptop and slept. Sometimes walking away isn't cruelty. It's survival.